We need your help. The storm came. The monsters followed. They took everything. Our towns, our families. The few of us left are in serious danger.
What do you get when you take an RPG, a card game, a building open world zombie survival game, and tower defense? Well, you're about to find out. I'm Michael Jordan, this is Niche Gamer's video review supplemental for Fortnite. Overall, Fortnite has a distinctive graphical style and strong elements that bring a uniqueness to the game. Zombies, weapons, items, buildings, the landscape in general are all beautifully stylized and very colorful. The zombies in this game, also known as husk, all have a very unique style unto themselves, but do pull from other games and genres. The major focus on loot, weapons, traps, and characters all revolve around a gacha system that has very unique art for each one of these, which is nice, especially considering it is a gacha system. You're not going to be seeing rehashes really of special items in the game. The map and area design oozes 1950s Americana. More importantly, they work very well with the game mechanics to reduce friction and promote function. Before we get really deep into gameplay, I do want to note that the load times are insanely long. I had load times up to 1 minute and 35 seconds as timed for this video. In recent memory, I haven't experienced load times this bad, and I have played every major open world released in the last 10 years. As we get into gameplay, we should start off with the building system, which isn't only simplistic but easy to get into and understand. There are 3 main building material types: wood, brick, and metal. These are used to build the foundation of your base. Most of these items can be simply gathered by destroying things like cars, walls, or trees. The other sides of the building aspect are the traps. These are very important for defending your base and are just as easy to deploy as all the other building items. There really is no wrong answer in the regard of trap setup, but it is interesting what you can do with them and the combinations of items you can make. Combat is just as fluid and fun, allowing all players to quickly pick up and play the game. Each hero has a unique set of abilities that you'll learn to use and love while you're playing and decapitating zombies. Each mission usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play, so if you're looking for a quick hands-on experience, Fortnite isn't exactly the game for you. But the game is not without its major problems. To date, I had 41 games crash on me, making me lose all progression. If you equate that out in time, that's about 23 hours of game time lost. Simply unexcusable. Even if the game is in quote-unquote early access, they're still asking for $40 base entry. You shouldn't be having a new fan base beta testing your game for money. If you add this major issue with the extremely long load times, you have a recipe for disaster. This leads into the next major problem. A majority of the players have left the game because of these massive issues. Who wants to sit through a game for 40 minutes only to lose all your progress from that? This problem is compounded because the game doesn't scale well at all when there aren't players in the game with you. Scaling should be in the game by default, but I don't see it anywhere, and if it is in there, I certainly don't feel it. It is nearly impossible to complete a mission by yourself without taking an exorbitant amount of time or using up all your own resources. The game adds quote-unquote defender characters that act as another player, but they are locked to a single area. You have to unlock them with your skill tree, and you have to level them up alongside your hero, using up valuable resources. And at the end of the day, they're a glorified turret that doesn't even work very well. Another major issue is if a player does decide to join your game out of nowhere, it's going to cause a massive lag spike. I've actually died several times because I walked off a cliff because the game glitched out, made me think, oh hey, I'm gonna just let go of the controls and it'll stop me from moving, only to find out that the game kept moving my character off the cliff. All of this is really saddening when you really realize how fun the gameplay can be and all the different play styles that are available with heroes you can unlock. Another thing that really works against its own benefits for this game is explaining how the gacha system works and how you can actually use lower level items for the majority of the first and second acts. That means 60 to 80 hours into the game, you could still use green and blue items if you choose to level them up. They also have an easy way to transfer those items' experience into other items when you're done using them. This might make some players think that they have to have the best legendary gear possible when you really don't. Another interesting aspect of the game is the two different skill trees that are available to players. The first is the basic skill tree, which you get points from leveling up that you can allocate into a variety of different skills. The second is the research tree, which actually gives you points over time. You don't necessarily have to be putting a whole bunch of hours in the game, just logging in once a day and you'll be able to make some progress. This tree isn't essential to advancing, but it will help out players who play every day. Touching back on the gacha system, it must be noted that it is extremely fair. Almost every single item you get in gacha packs will be useful to you in one way or another. Green and blue items can be easily used up to 80 hours into gameplay. The game has an experience redemption system when you retire an item that gives you back almost all of your EXP that you put into them, making it extremely easy to upgrade weapons once you have a better version of the ones you like. The basic sound design of the game is on point, but the music is really lackluster in this game. Or rather, should I say mostly non-existent. Missions are filled with silence except for when you're shooting your gun or encountering zombies. In a game that goes for stylized over horror, this was a terrible decision. A great and stylized musical score could have really helped this game out in tense moments. It's as if they looked at the tension that is built in other zombie games that focused on horror and did not understand that their own game is completely different and action-based. The story of Fortnite sits the player in the seat of a random survivor of a zombie apocalypse, but by chance stumbles into a laboratory specifically designed to try to prevent and defend against said apocalyptic situation. Problem is, there's no commander or survivors in the lab to control and oversee the operations, leaving the player to deal with a bunch of robots that sound really annoying. It's an interesting take on the zombie genre that mixes its despair and humor fairly well, but the real issue is bending around the massive multiplayer aspects of the game. Even after pumping in 100 hours of game time, I am nowhere near quote-unquote endgame, and the storyline key points are still extremely vague. This leaves you wanting more, but not enough to keep playing the game, especially with all its faults. Hell, I can't even tell you why or how the apocalypse happened in the first place. This is a shame because there is something really here that's interesting and it's just not letting me or any of its audience see it. Fortnite is a game that I personally had a lot of fun with when it worked and extreme frustration when it didn't. It is everything I want in a game with a rollout that makes the Microsoft Zune seem like a success. The game is polarizing to say the least. Great combat with extreme load times and massive crashes, interesting style with no music to back it up, and a story that gives you the literary equivalent of blue balls. I can't recommend picking this game up yet, but when it goes free to play next year, it might be a game worth your time and money. So for now, you might just want to keep an eye on it. Thank you for watching this video review. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you want to help us out, feel free to check out our Patreon page.